I still will call this our lesson 8. Okay, so we'll treat this as a lesson, even though I've said it's a further practice. I'll put it on Moodle and I'll label it further practice lesson 8. But that way you guys know. So linear equations can be written in 3 different forms: general form, slope-intercept form, point-slope form, or slope-point form, whichever you want to call it. And again, I told you the game and the stuff we were doing on the board is knowing when to use what, knowing how to use what. Okay, they're all there. You're going to get the formulas. You don't have to memorize them. Just like I gave you on the quiz, you'll have that same little piece of information for a unit test. But it doesn't mean anything if you don't know when to use what or how to use it effectively. Okay, that's the part. So like, for example, right now, I haven't even read this question. Okay, I'm right there. The example, I've not read it. But I see 2 points, so immediately in my head, I think I'm probably going to use what? Yeah, y minus y over x minus x. I'm probably going to find the slope using slope formula. Right? Because that's what that's for. When you have 2 points, you can find a slope of a line. That's the kind of process and thinking you need to kind of have on this stuff. Okay? So, because I've seen crazy things where people write, oh, 3x, 1y, minus 2x, 2y, and they put them in an equation and try to do stuff. It just doesn't make any sense. So determine the equation in general form of a line passing through these 2 points. When you have an equation, I use this, and this is me. You can do whatever you want. I always come back to this guy right here, the slope-intercept form. Because the slope's right there, and the y-intercept's right there. As soon as I get those, and I feel comfortable, to me, I feel comfortable moving this to general from slope-intercept form. The only time it's difficult is when I have to fraction. Okay, so I'm just talking now. You're a little confused. So let's just, one step at a time, we need to figure out the slope first. That's what we have to do. Whoops, turn my sound down in a second. Okay, so we got -6 minus a -1. It's important you have the minus there. -2 minus 3 is the slope of that line that goes through PQ. So that's plus, so I get -5 over -5. So my slope is 1. Okay. So here, this is where you guys, this is the hard part. And it's really difficult for you guys to understand this piece. There's like 7 different, not 7, there's like 2 different ways you can go now. And they're both okay. One way is I can go, okay, y equals mx. My m is 1, x plus b. I can write it in slope-intercept form. And then I can plug in a point and solve for b. Because points are in the form of xy, correct? So I'm going to go and do that right now. I'm going to take a point. It doesn't matter which one. I'll take this one. I'm going to put the 3 in for x. I'm going to put the -1 in for y. And I'm going to solve for b. B is -4. So my y-intercept's -4. My slope is 1. The equation of the line, I'm actually close to done. I'm going to pause. I know you probably think I'm going too fast. That's the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Y equals x minus 4. It's an x because that's a 1, right? 1x. Okay, questions with that piece? I'm going to show you the other way. Maybe you like the point slope way. Is there any questions there? Are we sure? Okay, so the point slope way is, I know the slope's 1, so I take a point, right? Remember, it was yesterday's lesson. So I'm going to go y, I'll use this one. Minus a minus is a +6. 1's my slope, x, minus a minus, +2. That was yesterday's lesson. There's my slope. +2 because it's a -2, remember opposite yesterday. +6 because it's an opposite of 6. I took this point with my slope. And now I can simplify this one and figure out the b. Well, tedious. Multiplying 1 does nothing. That's really just this. And it's -6. Look, guys, this is not a coincidence. That's going to happen every time. You're going to get the same stuff. Y equals x minus 4. Okay? So I'm not done yet because it said to have it in general form. So I just need to simply move my x over or my y over, okay? Since the books keep doing this, maybe to help you guys, I'm going to keep my x positive, so I'm going to move the y over this time, okay? So I'll minus the y over, so 0 equals x minus y minus 4 would be the answer in general form. Okay, questions? I touched on point slope. I touched on slope intercept. I touched on general. Yeah, Andy.
So if you get the opposite signs for the answer.
Right. Yeah, if you get the opposite answers, I'm going to go ahead and still say you're okay. Okay, but I'm just telling you in general, the book, just kind of like how the book doesn't write a 1 next to your x, but you can, the book's never going to make their x a negative. If the book has a negative x, it moves it to the other side. Okay? I think that actually might be a rule, but I'm not huge on it. But Andy, you're fine if yours is the opposite, okay? Any other questions? Are we sure? Okay, so let's look at the second one. Let's see what the second one's asking. Okay, determine the equation in general form again, okay? Of a line through a point 5, 0, and perpendicular to the line 3x minus 5y plus 17. So the problem here is we want it to go through a certain point, and we want to also find it perpendicular to a different line. So those pieces of information are not related. Does that make sense? This right here, we're trying to find in general form a line that goes through this point and is perpendicular to this line. But 5, 0 and this point, 5, 0 and this line are not related. So what I first need to do is I need to figure out what the slope is of this. That's what I need to figure out first. Everybody okay with that? Okay, so then we'll do that. So let's go, okay, minus the 3x. So minus 5y equals negative 3x minus 17. Divide by negative 5. We don't care about this, so don't worry about the 17/5. We're just stealing the slope. We want perpendicular slopes. So what's the slope perpendicular to 3/5? Negative 5/3. So the slope I want. So now ask yourself, at this point, what pieces of information do you have? You have a slope and 1 point, right? You mean coordinates? Yeah, we have 1 point and a slope. So once you got to this game, we're right back to what we just did. We can use point slope or slope intercept. It doesn't matter. Okay, Lauren, you pick one. What do you want me to do? I'll just do one this time. Point slope. Okay, so we use point slope. So I'm going to go y. What goes right here, Hannah? So for this coordinate, what's the y? 0. So I go y minus 0, which is pointless, right? Okay, what goes here, Noah? 7. No. Listen to the wrong person, bud. What's the x here?
5.
Yeah, come on, stay with me. Stay with me. Okay. Last time he phones a friend, probably. All right, so we need to work this out now. That's just y minus 0 is just 0. Distribute negative 5/3 x plus 25 over 3. That's the equation of the line. What's wrong with that opposed to what we want? It's fractions, and we want general. The good news is they're both over, so we just times them all by 3. Good. Okay, so that's gone. That's gone. I have 3y equals negative 5x plus 25. Again, the book's going to make the x's positive, so I'll move them to the left. I'll add the 5x and minus 25. And that's your answer. You're starting to see how all these things fold together. They all come around to each other. Yeah?
What if both the denominators weren't 3?
Yeah, if both the denominators weren't 3, good question. So let's just, let's take what Logan just said. Let's make this like an 8. If there's a 3 and an 8, you'd find a number they both go into. So 3 and 8 both go into 24. So you times 24 to everything. And then what's 24 divided by 3? 8, you times that to 5. 24 over 8 is 3. You times that to the 25. Okay, so that's the common denominator way. We do have one of those in our notes that we did. Okay? All right, let's keep going here. All right, so we'll do this one, and then we will go ahead and do a couple in the book too. Okay. All right, so for this one, let's see, what's it asking? Find the equation in general form of a line perpendicular to 5x minus 7y minus 10, the same x-intercept as the x minus 2y minus 12. So again, x-intercept isn't a part of one of our forms, so that's the part that's difficult. Okay? But what it is a point. It's a point. Okay? So we want to make sure we understand that when we find the x-intercept, that's a point. That point will be something 0, right? The y will be 0. So as you're seeing the pattern, guys, is it's a point and a slope. You're locked and loaded and ready to go in a lot of different directions. As soon as you get a slope, as soon as you get a point, you're good. So like right now, we need to focus on getting this slope. So let's do that first. So I'm going to go, okay, negative 7y equals negative 5x plus 10. Divide. Y equals 5 over 7x minus 10 over 7. Doesn't matter. We don't care about that because we're just stealing the slope anyway. So 5 over 7, but I want to be perpendicular. Negative 7 over 5 is the slope I'll be using. Okay. So the next question, x minus 2y minus 12, we want that one's x-intercept. How do we find x-intercepts? Make y 0. So what that does is, I'm going x minus 2 times 0, which is pointless to write, but we can. That's gone. X minus 12 equals 0. X equals 12. So if x equals 12, guys, this is what you have to know. The point is 12, 0. 12 for x, 0 for y. That makes it an intercept. We now have a point and a slope. Right, if we want a y-intercept, then x would be 0. So we would have done the same exact work, but then this would have been gone, and we'd have solved for y there. Okay? Do you guys see that, though? Does that make sense? 12, 0. Okay, if you're not understanding it visually, remember, x-intercept, that means it's over here. We'll say this is 12. That means it's going through, like, that's the x-intercept. It's 12, 0 because 0 is not up and down at all. If you're not up and down at all, you're on the x-axis. Okay? So now, Spencer, you want to do point slope or slope intercept form? Point slope. Okay, so we got a point and a slope. Y minus 0, right? Equals negative 7 over 5 times x minus 12. Again, we're going to find this in general form, so I have a little bit of work to do. Y minus 0 is helpful. We distribute that. 12 times 7 positive, that's going to be 84 over 5. We're happy because they're both over 5, so we times 5 to everything. I'll move out of the way here in a second. So that's where we're at after the 5's cancel. Okay, questions before I finish that off? I have one more thing to do. We're okay? All right, so we need to move, I'm going to move this 7 and the 84 over. So I'll add 7x minus that. So 7x plus 5y minus 84 equals 0. That's your answer in general form. Okay. All right, so what we'll do is maybe we won't do the whole problems here, but let's just kind of like read some together and talk about how we'd start them, okay? So let's read them, talk about where we'd start. So let's just do, okay, so let's just talk about this section. What would you do on this section? You're given 2 points. It says find the general form of the line through the points. So let's talk about steps. Not even doing the problem. Step 1. Slope formula, correct. Step 2. So you have a slope. Do you have a point? Yeah, you have 2 points. So step 2, it's either point slope or slope-intercept form, whichever one you like better. It's that break-off that we talked about. You can go either way. Step 3, get into general form. Okay? And that's smooth. Okay? All right, so that's for that section. If you want to try some of those, great. I'm just going to summarize a couple of these. We'll do 2 more sections. Okay, I haven't looked at this. I'm not sure what they'll be. Oh, here we go. It's a good one. Nope. Okay, identify the lines that are parallel and perpendicular, so you're supposed to list them. Okay, here we go. This is good. Look at A here. You're getting a slope and an x-intercept. So what do you have? Do you have a slope? Do you have a point? What do you have? Right. They do this a lot on tests. They give you a point but don't make it look like a point. This is a point. You're done. In terms of like you're at step 2 now from above. 2/7 is your slope. Your point is -6, 0. You're ready to do the break-off from there. Point slope or slope-intercept. Okay. All right. B with the y-intercept -8/3 and a slope of 7. So this is a point, -8/3. So it's going to be 0, -8/3. Y-intercept means your x is 0. Your slope is 7. You kind of starting to get the hang of it. So here they give you a point perpendicular to this. So what do you have to do to find that slope? Solve for y and figure out what that slope is. Then you'll have your slope and your point. Same thing here. And okay. So this one, perpendicular to y equals x. It's kind of tricky. What's the slope of y equals x? One. Nothing's in front. It's a 1. What's 1 flipped and changed sign? -1. Tricky, huh? So this one would be a slope would be -1 for perpendicular. 1's tricky because when you flip 1, it's still 1. But then we switch the sign. Okay? And then we want the same x-intercept as this one. So we have to come over here and find the x-intercept real quick. So you make that 0 minus the 10 divided by the 2. So this would be -5. So then that would be, there's your point. Got my slope, got my point, I'm ready to go. Okay? All right, I'll stop there.